So one of the things that stands out for me immediately is when I see Hierophant in reverse. Hierophant traditionally is about, it's funny I say that, tradition and doing things in a conservative, tried and true way. When this is in reverse, it means that you may be bucking the system. It may mean to like look at things from a different point of view. Maybe try something that you haven't ever tried before. Like if you have an old routine or an old system of doing things or ways that your community and society expect you to do things, this might be a good time to review that and to like depart from tradition. Last month we had a lot of we had the Uranus trine Sun and Moon with the full moon. And that was a good time to experiment. So this is saying to me that it may be a good time to experiment with things and go off the beaten track. Hierophant is all about society's rules, mores, spirituality, tradition, doing things in a conventional way. So there's some way or maybe a little bit unconventional. It might be a good time to depart from traditional ways of doing things, from ways that society expects you to perform. And it may have to do with your savings. It may have to do with also like enjoying the luxuries that you have brought to yourself. Nine of Coins represents someone who has a lot of self-discipline, who has put money away and stored things for themselves. You can see in the card she's got a necklace full of coins and riches. She's eating grapes. She's draped in fine robes and jewels and is holding this pheasant or this falcon that symbolizes wealth, and the card is purple, symbolizing wealth and royalty. So what I'm getting from this with Hierophant and Nine of Coins both in reverse is that it may be a good time to indulge yourself, Virgo. I mean, even if conventionally you tuck money away or save things, you know, with this in reverse, it's saying that it may be a good time to indulge yourself in a way that doesn't normally look like it's supported by society or tradition. And it may mean that it's a good time to see if you can identify with this card to allow, there may be some money available to you that has resulted from your own self-discipline, whether it's you've been tucking things away in a savings, or you've been working away at a job, or you know, you may have saved some things that are valuable. This may be a good time to sell some things and enjoy the fruits of your efforts, even if it's frowned upon from society, even though if it's not a conventional thing to sell the family silver. Or I mean, I'm not necessarily recommending one thing or another, but what I'm saying is that this is a time when unconventionality is favored, and maybe also getting over any doubts or fears about enjoying the luxuries that might be available to you. And I get the sense too, it might be a nice time to indulge yourself in something because there may be some sort of sorrow that you're dealing with or some sort of loss. Five of Cups represents sorrow and loss and grief. You can see that the 3 cups are spilled in the foreground, but in the background behind this figure, it's actually sort of the foreground, but the figure is focusing on the background here. So if the figure turns around, there's still 2 cups standing up, so there's still love available. But I get the sense that you might be getting over some grief, or you might have some sadness about something. You know, 5 of Cups is really, it's focusing on a loss of some sort. So I think that you may need to indulge yourself. Make yourself feel rich. Like if you never go to the spa, it might be a good time to do that. Or if you never, whatever it is that you never allow yourself that you think society may frown upon, it may be a good time to do that, because it may ease your mind off of whatever is happening here, whatever loss. This could be emotional because cups represent the heart and emotion, but it could also be financial or physical, or it could be, you know, loss of a job, a spouse, a partner, a family member. It's just sorrow and focusing on the spilt wine or the spilt blood, whatever is has been lost. But just keep in mind there's more available to you if you can turn around and take your focus off of what has been lost. There's still some that you have here that you're not seeing. And then this card, 7 of Coins, is a card of patience. And it's a card of harvest. You can see here that the farmer is here. And what these coins represent is the harvest that's been planted, but that's not quite ready to be picked. The image I usually use here is of a grape vineyard. So if you pick these too soon, if you harvest things too soon, it can be sour and not as sweet as if you had taken the time to have patience and harvest them when they've actually come to fruition and become sweet. So this is a card really great for the Mercury retro of reassessment, evaluation, taking time out to think things over, evaluate things. Is this the direction I want to be going in? Is this the harvest that I want to be having? Are these the seeds that I want to be planting? So it's a really great time, and it lines up well for first couple weeks at least, through the 22nd, where it's good to evaluate things. And coins represent money, especially, and physical possessions and assets. So it might be a good time to reassess your money, reassess whatever you're reaping, and whether you want to sow something different, or it's just a good time for evaluating things and taking a time out to see what it is that you're creating and gathering. Towards the middle of the month, we have something where there shows up a little bit of competition. 5 of Wands. I call this card playing versus fighting. So it could be, it's got a lot of Mars energy, which is the warrior energy, and it could be open competition about something. It could be that multiple people are like competing over you or competing for a job, or sometimes it can be playing, like just having fun. I look at it as like children playing with sticks or something, you know, and make-believe and just playing. Or it could be fighting. So it could be like open warfare. It could be like direct competition, you know, all the people scrambling for a job or for some sort of asset or something going on. There is an end that comes with this. So there might have been something that you've been fighting for a while, or vying for, or you know, in competition with others for, but that's going to come to an end. This card is Death, which means the end of a cycle. So whatever it is that's come to a head, it's time for it to end. It's time to let go of something. I get the sense that it may be coupled with this card, 5 of Cups, because both of these are sort of somber figures. Both of them this one depicts a loss and this one depicts an end. It's like an end of a cycle, letting go of the rose when it has completed its life. Its natural cycle is to end. So there's a way in which this card is saying whatever it is that's been going on with this, it's time to let it go. It might be like, sometimes this can just be like problems. This card can represent problems that you've been dealing with, things that are like petty annoyances, things that you just don't want to be working on anymore or dealing with. So that could be just a time to let those things go. Let go of your problems. Let go of what it is that's been kind of holding you back, or let go of this cycle of just feeling frustrated, feeling annoyed. See if you can lighten up and see it as just like playtime. See if you can see it as like just the absurdity of it, or, you know, there's this Buddhist quote that always comes to mind when I see this card, and it says, enjoy your problems, because the cycle is ending anyway. And then I see too, in the middle of the month, there's Page of Swords and there's 10 of Wands. And they're both in reverse. So Page of Swords is someone who is very idealistic. Traditionally, it's a younger person. So this could be an air sign, like a Gemini, an Aquarius, or a Libra. And it could be them, if you interact with Gemini, any of the air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, it could be them showing up as the young part of themselves. It could be them being very idealistic or very dogmatic, Page of Swords says, I have this one belief and I'm willing to stand up for it. I'm willing to fight for it. It could be someone who's acting like a younger air sign and just saying, I want my way. This is what I believe. This is what I see. This is what I want. So it may be that you're coming to a place, Virgo, where you're feeling tired of that, and I'm looking at these 2 points of the swords, and they're almost like point to point. It's sort of like them being dogmatic, or there's a lot of conviction in this card where they're like convicted towards a particular belief, like this is what I believe, this is what I say, this is what I want, this is what I'm acting upon, this is my one thought, and I dare you to challenge it, is kind of what this Page of Swords says. And Death is saying, nope, I'm done with that. I'm completing that cycle. I will go toe to toe with you. So Page of Swords is just sort of being like the younger version of themselves. It may even just be a younger person who's saying, I want it. I want this. This is what I believe. This is how I think. And Death is saying, you know what? You need to stop acting like a child. You need to move on from that. So if that's someone that you're dealing with, there may be an ending of a cycle of dealing with a younger person who is very dogmatic, convicted, or has conviction towards an ideal or the truth that they believe. There may be like toe to toe with Death on them, middle of the month. And it's interesting because these are both fighting cards. Page of Swords says, I'm willing to stand on the mountaintops and shout my truth, and I'm willing to fight for it. And then 5 of Wands is open fighting. So there is a way in which either the fighting is ending or there's going to just be an end to it. Both of these are Wands cards, and Wands represent fire. So there's something of fire. This is a very active card, 5 of Wands, and this is a very weary card. Like, this is a card saying, I'm very tired. I've been carrying too much for too long. And the way out of this energy, this card is sometimes called oppression. The way out of this is to put down what is not necessary, to let go of what has been like weighing you down. There's like a fable by Aesop that talks about a donkey that's weighed down by all the sand, and then he steps into a river and lowers into the river and just lets all that sand go. So that's kind of like what the lesson of the 10 of Wands is about. If you've been carrying so much for so long, if you feel overburdened or oppressed, if you feel weary and like your back is going to break from all that you're carrying, I always suggest when this card shows up to find out what you can put down that's no longer necessary, what's yours and what's not yours. You may not feel like because the card's in reverse, there may be some fear or some doubt about the ability to put any of this down, but I want you to take a look at what it is that's not yours. What are you carrying that's not yours? Or what are you carrying that's not necessary, and what can you put down? So especially if it's in regards to a younger or someone who's acting younger air sign, so Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, any of those, if there's something that about them or that you're caring for them, it might be time to cut that. Death is saying there's the end of that cycle, especially if it's causing you a lot of like aggravation or problems, or just, this is like traffic is the feeling of this. This is like too many people vying for too many resources, competition, aggression, Mars energy, fighting warrior, petty, fighting over a parking space kind of feeling. So see what you can cut out of that, Virgo, that's not yours. That's the middle of the month. And it's a good time just, again, to reassess and review. That's the 7 of Coins energies giving you support here and saying, what is mine? What do I want to evaluate? What's the harvest that I want to walk away with? And 10 of Wands is saying, I've been carrying all this stuff. What can I put down? Even if you may have fear or resistance towards putting something down, look at what's not necessary and see if you can put that down, Virgo. It's going to lighten your load quite a bit. Then at the end of the month, it's funny, you have a lot of like soldier and warrior energy in this whole month. This Nine of Wands is also, you know, a warrior. You can see the helmet that he's wearing. He's the survivor card. Here's another warrior taking time out of battle. That's Four of Swords. You know, King of Swords is another warrior, but he's a logical, thinking, reasonable, truth-seeking person. And he's going head-to-head with this Page of Cups, which is also a soldier, but he's more of like a messenger. He's not necessarily, he's more of a lover than a fighter. But, you know, with this card, this card, this card, this card, this card, this card, they're all sort of soldier, warrior, Mars energy. So I get the sense, Virgo, that there's some sort of battle that you're fighting, especially towards the mid to the end of the month. But what's great about this card is this is the survivor card. Nine of Wands, I always think of this quote by Beckett when this card comes up, and it says, "Ever tried, ever failed, never mind, try again, fail better." Or there's a Buddhist quote that says, "Fall down 7 times, stand up 8." And that's kind of what this card is like. He's kind of like Cool Hand Luke, where he keeps getting knocked down and gets back up. You can see he's been in battle. He's got this helmet. But regardless of how much he gets knocked down, he keeps getting back up. And 9 and 10 of Wands, they're right next to each other in terms of sequence. They're both about endurance. This one is about, you know, feeling burdened, feeling tired of carrying the weight of the world. And this one's the survivor card, but they both endure is what's similar about both of those cards. And it may be that something's wrapping up in terms of you always having to be a survivor, always having to look over your shoulder and see what the next thing that's going to hit you is coming, you know, is coming at you. In the reverse position, there may be some doubts or fears of like whether you can survive this or whether you can endure this. But I want to just say that there's a lot of strength in this card. So see, in the reverse position, it says, you know, I'm not sure if I can handle this. I don't know how much I can do this anymore. But in the upright position, he says, I always survive. I always make it through this. I'm strong. So see if you can access the high side of Nine of Wands. You may feel overburdened towards, you know, as Mercury is going back direct. But see if you can hang in there. The key to this is going to be to take some R&R. This is Four of Swords, which means rest and relaxation. You can see that the soldier's just taking time out of battle to like recollect, regroup. All of this, you know, the majority is about rethinking things, taking time out, recollecting. So this is a really good card to have right when Mercury is going direct. It's sort of like saying, what have you gained from this whole rest and relaxation period, this review period? It's not necessarily about taking action, but it's more about like rethinking things, collecting your strength to go forward again, to finish up old projects, to take a time out of battle, to like fight another day. This card is just really about rest, recuperation, relaxation. A lot of the same themes as the Mercury retrograde, you know, reassess, review, replan, but this one's especially about resting and gaining strength. And then these two cards, we've got King of Swords and Knight of Cups, going head to head at the end of the month. So this is an air sign here, generally. Excuse me, I'm just going to get a drink of water. So normally King of Swords represents an air sign. So again, Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra. And the Knight of Cups represents a water sign. So Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio. The sense I'm seeing like a head-to-head with these two. There's some way in which they're facing off. Now, normally Knight of Cups is a messenger of the heart, someone who wears their heart on the sleeve. You know, it can be like a declaration of love. It can be someone who's got a message from the heart to share. But King of Swords is a very logical, very reasonable, very truth-oriented person. Sometimes I call him the King Solomon card because he always makes, you know, rational, wise, experienced decisions based on knowledge. In the reverse position, what I'm seeing with these two is that it's sort of like head versus the heart. There may be someone, and I'm getting the sense, you know, this Page of Swords and this King of Swords can be related. It could be father-son. It could be the younger side of the air sign and the older side of the air sign. You know, in the reverse position, King of Swords is sort of like the expert who doesn't want to hear anything else. It can kind of be like, you know, someone who's overly intellectual and rational and has no concept of heart energy, which this younger person does, this knight. So it could be, I'm seeing head versus the heart, air sign stuff versus water sign stuff. So swords versus cups, which is basically like the mental realm versus the heart realm. So there's some struggle. This could be literal between a water sign and an air sign, you know, especially if this person is in a position of authority or they're older and this is a younger person. Or it could be like the more experienced version of yourself that wants to go according to rationality, experience, wisdom, and knowledge, and sort of this younger, heart-centered person who's more like, this is what I really feel on the inside. This is what I want to express, but this is what my mind is saying, you know, I should do. And there may be some sort of conflict because they're in reverse together. There may be some doubt or fear or reluctance to share what's going on or to confront that. There's some way in which there is a conflict between head and heart at the end of the month. So what I'll say too is I just think it's a good time to focus. This card, as you can see, is in the upright position, so it will be a good time to do some rest and relaxation, to literally gather your thoughts. That swords represent thoughts, so gather your thoughts, gather your review of things that you're either completing or reassessing, reevaluating. You, Virgo, are ruled by Mercury, and so this Mercury retro, it kind of affects you in a strong way. And Mercury is the messenger card. It is the card of, you know, quicksilver thinking, intellectualism, messages, information, all of that, technology. So the sense I get with the end of the month, with all these in reverse, is if you have issues, especially with head versus heart kind of things, or feeling like you don't know if you can endure it, if you can handle what's going on, take some time to collect your thoughts, take some time to regroup, take some time to just take time out of the battle and really just think over what has happened for the majority. It's a really good time to just reassess, you know, all those words: relax, recuperation, reevaluate, reflect, and collect some information that way, as well as just finishing up old business. So that's my reading for you, Virgo. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for watching. Yours in the stars.